Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you are well. I'm very happy to welcome here Eleni Vusura from Greece and Maja Zutic from Croatia. The three of us know each other a little bit because we work together in this Riseup PPD network. And of course, we will explain you a little bit what it's all about. It's actually an European project, a cost action European project, which was funded 2 years ago. And the head of this program is Anna, oh, now you help me for her name.
Ganho.
Ana Ganho. And she is from Portugal. She's from the Coimbra University. She was very pleased that we would do this intervention here in Portugal for the Portuguese event, because she's following Mulheres Obra since already a few years, and she knows this organization very well. So she was very pleased that we're doing this. Eleni, you are the head of this working group 6 that is doing the communication of this Riseup PPD. Please, can you tell us a little bit what does it stand for, PPD? People don't know yet, so please, can you tell us a little bit about this, how this network was organized?
Sure, and thank you, Laurence, for the wonderful invitation. Thank you also, Make Mothers Matter for this invitation and for having this opportunity to present this important action to other women. This is the Riseup PPD network or action stands for the Research, Innovation and Sustainable Pan-European Network in Peripartum Depression Disorder. So that's a very long title to denote basically a multidisciplinary network of researchers and clinicians and service providers who all work with women who have developed at some point in their lives peripartum depression, which is the scientific, the technical term for depression that occurs during pregnancy or during the postpartum period, which usually is the first year after giving birth to a child, to an infant. And so this is a relatively rich and multicultural and multidisciplinary group. We are actually a group of researchers and clinicians and service providers coming from 29 European countries. And together with that, there's also a global representation of Latin America and Australia and the US. But because this is a cost-funded, European-funded network, the emphasis is on the networking that takes place within Europe. And the idea is to really develop capacity and disseminate knowledge regarding the diagnosis, the assessment, the treatment, and the protection also of rights, patient rights, in this really sensitive group of patients who are women with peripartum depression.
Yeah. Thank you. And you are a psychologist yourself at the University of Athens. How do you, as a psychologist, participate in this action? Do you do research as well for the action?
So I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm actually working in a Greek clinic that is treating women with psychiatric disorders throughout the reproductive cycle. Including, of course, pregnancy and postpartum, which is a very typical period of onset for a variety of mental health conditions. And so because of this special interest that I have in perinatal mental health, and particularly depression, when I learned about this cost-funded action, I decided to enroll immediately. And through my participation in the action, we're not technically doing research, because this is a program that really aims to establish a scientific network. So the main emphasis is how to develop ties with researchers from around the globe, and especially within Europe, and especially help countries that are not very, how can I say, they might be lagging a bit behind in terms of research, either because of funding reasons, or because women or new researchers might not have many opportunities to participate in research.
Yeah. And you, Maja, you are linked to the Catholic University of Zagreb. What are your activities?
Actually, the Catholic University of Croatia. I'm also a psychologist, working as a teaching assistant at the Catholic University of Croatia, currently on a project regarding physical and psychological maternal health, under which I am planning to conduct my PhD thesis surrounding biological and psychological risk factors of peripartum depression. So it is actually a continuation of my work. I had a master thesis also on peripartum depression, actually perinatal depression. So I'm quite engaged in this field of research since my early beginnings of my career. Actually, that's the reason why I joined this action from its early beginnings in 2019. First as a substitute for a management committee member, and then I became active in other roles. I'm currently a co-leader here with Eleni of our working group 6, and we are dedicated to a dissemination of our action products or publications towards the scientific community, health practitioners, end users, stakeholders, policymakers, and so on. Also, I'm engaged in a working group 1, where we are currently we are doing a systematic review on clinical practice guidelines that is regarding the treatment of peripartum depression. So that's another interesting thing in this big network, the opportunity to be involved in many roles, in many positions, and to learn from other more experienced researchers and professionals, which is very important to me. Also, I am a gender balance and early career investigator coordinator, which means that I monitor the gender balance, the geographical representativeness within our action. Also, I monitor, actually, I try to engage more young researchers into our action and into leadership positions, which is a big key objective of our action, actually, to have a sustainable, inclusive, well-balanced network of researchers, where we want to promote, actually engage young researchers in our action, female researchers in our action, and other countries worldwide. Yes.
Very, very interesting. Thank you. And so this mental health is, of course, very important. And we saw now recently with the whole COVID-19 pandemic that the mental load was very heavy for all the mothers staying at home and for their partners as well. Are you aware of that? Did you see that in your own countries as well? Was there a dramatic clash of this mental health in the women everywhere? Yeah, I see both of you. Yeah, Eleni?
We're noting. If we look at the global, international data, there is already research published showing that women during pregnancy and the year postpartum developed higher rates of depression, anxiety symptoms, and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, especially related to experiences that had to do with maybe some alterations in the quality of care and the obstetric, policies that each country adopts. And so in my country specifically, we're actually still collecting, we just finished collecting data as part actually of a task force that emerged through the Riseup PPD action. And so we have gathered a relatively large sample investigating depression, anxiety, PTSD, and other clinical symptoms, along with a variety of other important information such as, social support, quality of relationship with, partner, and changes that women experienced as a result of COVID with regards, to the obstetric care they received. I have to say that anecdotally, many women have been feeling increasingly anxious throughout the pandemic, and for different reasons. In the beginning, it was the lockdown that created a sense of isolation, lacking, support from others, giving birth and not being able to have, the important people around you, including your partner. Now that we're returning to normality, so to speak, there is increasing anxiety with regards to, vaccination or how to return back to school and other issues. So I think that overall what we've seen is that women are particularly vulnerable in this period of time.
Yeah. And you see the same, Maja?
Yeah. Actually, I would agree with Eleni. That is completely correct. We do see an increase, and we are expecting this trend upwards towards depression and anxiety symptoms. Not only those, but PTSD, as Eleni said. In Croatia, in my opinion, the research is a bit far behind because there is none regarding this COVID pandemic and perinatal mental health, but research is done worldwide. So I'm also a volunteer in an NGO, non-government association called Center for Reproductive Mental Health. And there I can see that more women is contacting us, asking for support, for psychological counseling, for information, for education surrounding this COVID pandemic, perinatal mental health, especially anxiety, depression, even obsessive compulsive disorders and problems like that. So there is a need. I've really seen this need that perinatal mental health is endangered now during these uncertain times of COVID-19 pandemic. So we really need to talk about this more and work on it.
And just to say something on that as well, that the idea, the rationale behind, this impact of COVID is that perinatal, the perinatal period is an already vulnerable period of time. So we already see an increase in mental health, difficulties and challenges. So in a way, the COVID-19 pandemic is an additive, stressor to an already stressful and challenging situation.
I heard about a father organization that I was talking with, and they said actually partners were not allowed in the delivery rooms, and that was really an indicator that the father or the partner is not considered as part of the process. He's only a visitor, he's only an outsider. And of course, this is as well very bad for the gender equality inside the family, but as well for the mother. This is terrible if she has to go through this all alone and she cannot have her family and her partner with her. Well, normally I think things are getting better now in most of the countries. That was much worse in the first wave, but it's really important that we get all this back to normal and that everybody can go and pick up again with this life from before.
Yeah, it was, you know, when during the first wave, when we had very few information about the very nature of the you know, the virus, a lot of changes in the protocols were made, and some people argued that we also made, you know, a backward, you know,
a big step back.
Yeah, a big step back in terms of certain decisions that have been placed to protect and to give, you know, women a high quality birth experience. Yeah.
And if we think of what are the results you want to obtain now with this Riseup PPD, with the whole network, what is exactly that you hope you can get with this network? You're doing, we are doing advocacy, and we really want to address the message to the policymakers. But what else would you like to stress more on in your demand, in your yeah, Maja, maybe?
Well, if I can answer this question, well, surely the key message that we want to convey is that maternal mental health is indeed an important issue, and that we need to talk about it and work on it. We would also like to aid in the global understanding of peripartum depression disorder. And our goal is to raise awareness of maternal mental health, but also to encourage policymakers to ensure equal care and availability of mental health services for all women across the world. Also, we wish to produce a comprehensive guideline that is evidence-based on best practices. So we ensure that we form a more unified and standardized approach towards assessing, treating, diagnosing, and preventing peripartum depression. We would like to encourage this social change, that more women get properly and timely diagnosed, so fewer will suffer from this debilitating illness such as peripartum depression, and more of them will get diagnosed and get the professional help and support they need.
Very good. Yeah, I think that's great if we can obtain this. Eleni, would you like to add something still, or?
I would just want to stress the importance of the evidence basis of this initiative. So ultimately, we're all researchers or research-informed clinicians, and so the overall, you know, the overarching aim is to create a common, you know, database that will contain, you know, a pan-European guidelines on how to assess, how to diagnose, and how to best you know, treat peripartum depression, and to also, you know, how to include novel treatment approaches that are non-pharmacological, and they're using, you know, like innovative resources, and they're kind of like, you know, emerging in research.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I think it was a very good introduction into what the Riseup PPD is doing, and I hope everybody understood. If they want to follow us on the social media, it's we are present in Facebook, on Twitter, of course, the website. It's called Riseup PPD, and you will find it. Otherwise, you send me a mail and I will answer the questions. Thank you very much, and talk to you later.